Now we have sad news from the world of entertainment. American media is reporting that legendary actress, director, and producer Diane Keaton has died at the age of 79.
When the news broke that Diane Keaton had passed away, the world mourned the loss of a legend. But what happened next stunned everyone. Just days later, her daughter stepped forward with a shocking revelation. A sealed box Diane had left behind, filled with handwritten notes, private confessions, and never-before-heard recordings. Inside were truths that Hollywood had whispered about for decades, now finally confirmed. What was Diane Keaton hiding all these years? And what did her daughter discover that changed everything we thought we knew about her? Stay with us, because what's inside that box will rewrite the story of a woman who lived and died on her own terms. In her final months, Diane Keaton had already begun to retreat from the spotlight. Those closest to her said she seemed peaceful, almost prepared, as though she knew her time was nearing. She reduced her work schedule, spent her days at home, and meticulously organized every corner of her life. Each morning began the same way. She would rise early, put on her signature white shirt and fedora, make a cup of coffee, and sit by her desk to write in her journal. In one of her final entries, she wrote, "I still have to do something every day. Otherwise, I feel invisible." That simple line became her farewell to the world, a reflection of a restless spirit that never stopped creating. During those last few months, she recorded her final song, First Christmas, and completed the final reviews for her last film, Summer Camp. Her colleagues remembered her as sharp, funny, and deeply involved in every detail of the production. Even when she had to rest longer between scenes, her passion for perfection never faded. The last day she left the studio, she turned, smiled, and said softly, "That's it. I'm satisfied." No one knew then that those would be her final words on a film set. After Diane Keaton's passing, her daughter Dexter, whom she had lovingly adopted, entered her mother's office to fulfill one final promise. The room was perfectly arranged. Hundreds of files, sealed envelopes, and neatly numbered notebooks stood as proof of Diane's lifelong discipline. But behind a stack of old journals, Dexter discovered a small, carefully sealed box. On top of it lay a note in Diane's familiar handwriting. "Open when Mom is in peace." Inside was a single line. "All good things should be kept." When Dexter opened the box, she found far more than mementos. Inside were letters, unfinished manuscripts, and hours of personal recordings, Diane's hidden farewell to the world. As Dexter played one tape, her mother's calm voice filled the room. "If anyone finds anything in these words," Diane said softly, "know that I really tried." On another, she laughed gently. "I never thought I was good enough, but maybe that's what kept me working." Among the papers was a manuscript titled Second Thoughts, Diane's deeply personal sequel to Then Again. It spoke of motherhood, aging, and self-acceptance. "Dexter and Duke are the reason I slowed down," she wrote. "Beauty isn't outside. It's about daring to continue." Those final words left the world in quiet, tearful admiration. To understand the power of that farewell, you have to go back to where it all began. Diane Keaton was born in 1946 in Los Angeles, the eldest of 4 children in a middle-class family. Her father was an engineer, and her mother, a creative spirit, had once held the title of Mrs. Los Angeles. It was her mother who first taught her the beauty of capturing moments. She recorded family memories in photos, notebooks, and home movies, showing Diane that art didn't need to be grand to be meaningful. That habit of observing life closely became the foundation of Diane's artistry. As a young woman, she left home for New York City with a single dream: to become an actress. Her diary from that period held a single sentence that defined her life: "I came to New York to become an actress. There was no other way." She lived in small apartments, worked multiple jobs, and faced endless rejection. But she refused to blend in. Casting directors thought she was too quirky, too unconventional. What they didn't realize was that her difference would one day make her unforgettable. Her breakthrough came when she starred opposite Woody Allen in Annie Hall. The film didn't just win her an Oscar, it redefined her image and changed pop culture forever. The oversized blazer, baggy trousers, tie, and fedora became more than costume. They became a symbol of individuality. The Annie Hall look swept across the world, inspiring women everywhere to embrace authenticity over glamour. But for Diane, it was never just about fashion. It was about freedom. The freedom to be herself in a world that constantly told women what to be. After Annie Hall, Diane didn't settle for being typecast. She took on challenging, complex roles, like the passionate journalist in Reds and the determined single mother in Baby Boom. Each character reflected a different facet of her own identity: strength, vulnerability, humor, and truth. She once said, "I always want women on screen to have their true voice." That principle guided every choice she made. While other actresses accepted roles that reduced women to background figures, Diane fought to portray women as full human beings, with doubts, desires, and dreams. Her work extended beyond acting. She moved behind the camera, directing and producing films like Heaven and Unstrung Heroes. Her creative range was vast. She wrote memoirs, edited photography books, and even delved into architecture and design. Everything she touched carried her trademark mix of precision and passion. Colleagues often described her as tireless and meticulous. She would rewrite dialogue, rework scenes, and adjust every small detail until it felt emotionally right. One director once said, "Diane doesn't act. She lives every scene." Even as she entered her 60s, Diane's energy didn't fade. In films like Something's Gotta Give, The Family Stone, and Book Club, she portrayed women who were witty, independent, and still daring to fall in love. Her presence on screen became a beacon for a new generation, proving that beauty and relevance don't disappear with age. She embodied a timeless confidence that audiences found both inspiring and deeply human. Yet, behind her public grace, Diane continued to navigate the private struggles that came with fame. The world of Hollywood can be ruthless, and Diane's independence often drew criticism. Her continued friendship with Woody Allen, long after controversies surrounded him, divided public opinion. When asked about it, Diane responded with calm honesty. "I know him as a person, and I believe in what I have witnessed." Her loyalty was unwavering, a reflection of her values more than her politics. She believed that relationships built on trust should not be swayed by public noise. She was equally candid about the pressures of image in the industry. "I used to think I had to be different to be loved," she once said, "until I understood that truth is what makes people valuable." That statement became a kind of manifesto for the next generation of actresses. It wasn't about perfection, it was about authenticity. Through her humor, her imperfections, and her refusal to conform, Diane Keaton became a symbol of what it meant to live life unapologetically. After her passing, Dexter spent months cataloging her mother's archives. Among the treasures were hundreds of unseen photographs, behind-the-scenes shots from sets, candid moments with friends, and quiet glimpses of family life. On the back of each photo, Diane had scribbled short notes, dates, places, and small comments. Nothing fancy, just fragments of memory from a life lived in full awareness. Dexter now plans to release these images, along with the manuscript of Second Thoughts, as a tribute to the mother who taught her that creativity never truly dies. What remains is not just a filmography or a list of awards, but a legacy, a spirit that inspired countless people to embrace honesty, imperfection, and courage. Diane Keaton once said, "I don't want to be remembered for the roles I played. I want to be remembered for daring to live truthfully in every decision I made." And that's exactly how the world will remember her. Her death may have come quietly, but her voice continues to echo. In her films, in her writings, in the gentle wisdom she left behind. She lived between light and limits, between fame and privacy, between who the world thought she was and who she truly became. In every frame, every photograph, every note, she left a reminder that life is not about perfection. It's about persistence. As the years pass, her legacy will keep shining through every person inspired by her honesty. Diane Keaton once wrote, "All good things should be kept." And so they will be, kept in her art, in her children, In her timeless courage to live authentically in a world that demanded masks, if Diane Keaton's story touched your heart, don't let her light fade. Like, share, and subscribe to celebrate the legacy of a woman who lived fearlessly and loved deeply. Her courage reminds us all, truth is timeless, and authenticity never dies. Keep her spirit alive together. Thanks for watching.